Amazing. So, hi, my name is Nico Stein. I'm a Veeam Vanguard in my professional life. I'm an SVP for IT at a medium-sized credit union out of Maryland, Washington, D.C. I dabble in home lapping, and on my free time, you can see me riding a scooter going 40, 50 miles an hour around Washington, D.C. and Maryland. On to you, Shane.
Thanks, Nico. I'm Shane Williford, systems architect based here in Kansas City, and I work for customer space, which I have done pretty much my whole career.
Mute Shane.
Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Somebody said I was on mute. Shane Williford, systems architect here in Kansas City, working in the customer space. You can catch me on Twitter and LinkedIn. I'm also a Veeam legend, as well as the Veeam user group leader in the Kansas City area. So that's about it. You want to go ahead and start, Scott?
Sure, Scott Patterson. I'm an information systems specialist, basically server storage, backups, DR, VMware, Veeam, and everything else in between. I recently did a blog post on storage snapshots on the Veeam Community Hub, and I figured I'd delve into that a little more today. So I will share the screen with you. 1 second. There we go. So one thing I noticed was a lot of people are not always using the storage snapshots to their full ability, or the fact that they are having some of their issues with the backup. So today we're going to go over some of the traditional VMware backup challenges, how the storage snapshots integrate with Veeam, some recovery and advanced uses, and some of the manual mechanics versus the way Veeam handles them. So with traditional VMware backups, they all need a VMware snapshot for consistency. So if you're using Hot-Add, DirectSend, MBD, they all require a VMware snapshot. The redo logs will grow during the life of that snapshot, and every time you remove it, it will have to consolidate the snapshot. All of the new rewrites, or the rewrites, are directed to those Delta files, and they will grow over time. So you'll notice that if you have a data store and it's filling up during your backup windows, that could be due to the snapshot. And the larger it gets, the longer it's going to take to remove, and the more chance of stunning your VMs. So once you have a backup in place, and if it's taking a really long time, you could end up with a really long consolidation window. And this would require multiple merge passes when removing the Delta file. You can get stunned during this merge, and I've experienced that myself. And if you're doing things like databases that have really sensitive times, you will definitely notice that you have applications falling offline and things like that. If you have multiple VMs on a data store as well, that's another risk, because if one of those snapshot grows, it can take down all of the VMs, and stunning that VM and causing issues on the data store can affect the other ones. So there's two ways you can schedule the storage snapshots. You can use the SAN native ones. I tend to use that a lot and orchestrate them from the SAN, but you can also create snapshot only jobs in Veeam. Here's just a screenshot of on my IBM Flash system that I had set up a 7-day retention policy, and it'll go out, take a storage snapshot, and it doesn't even require a backup. So for a regular backup job, Veeam would request the VMware snapshot, and then a storage snapshot is taken following that. And then the Veeam snapshot is removed, and the storage snapshot is mounted to the proxy server, and backups are read directly from the SAN. This is great, especially if you have really fast fiber channel, because your backups are incredibly fast and there is no impact to the VMware environment. So some of the benefits, you would have no long-lived VMware snapshots or consolidation events. You're going to have a lot more predictable backup performance and increased backup performance. There's also less risk on your data store and stun of the VMs. And as soon as I did the storage snapshots myself, all of those stun problems I was having on my data stores went away because we have some very sensitive databases. So here is an image of a storage snapshot only job. You can see you can still restore files, entire VMs, Active Directory, users, groups, SQL Server items, Exchange mail items. So it looks pretty much just like a regular Veeam backup, but you can schedule these frequently as well. So running a storage snapshot every 1 hour even, you could run 24 of these in a day and then have a daily backup on top of that. And it's quite beneficial if you need a short RTO, RPO. It also helps with ransomware protection. On my SANs, I have a mutable snapshot set up. So even if you are a SAN admin, you cannot delete your own snapshots. You can replicate these snapshots to other storage. And with the RTO, RPO, you're going to be able to back up from and restore from either site from the storage snapshots. But a reminder that snapshots are not backups. A few other things here. You can use storage snapshots with Sure Backup for DR testing. This is great if you have to have a lot of VMs. It's going to be much faster. There's going to be no rehydration if you're using something like a dedupe appliance or a copy out storm when you're doing a recovery. If you had to recover, let's say, 100 VMs from your dedupe appliance, that is going to be a lot of rehydration, or you're going to have to copy all that data. But from the storage SAN, it's just going to be over fiber or iSCSI. And a couple of the advanced uses. File server migrations is a big one. If you can just take one of these storage snapshots, mount it to another VM, and import all of your volumes right over to the new file server, you don't even have to copy any data. Same with if you're moving your servers to a new VMware environment, I would just take one of those storage snapshots, restore the VM to the new VMware environment basically instantly, and you can start using it. You don't have to actually vMotion it. Other uses would be analytics and AI. You can do analytics on your snapshots. You're not going to have any production impact. If you were ransomware, doing pre-encryption investigation or even things like e-discovery. This is just a quick workflow of what is happening in Sure Backup versus if you were to do it manually. Here you would have to basically take the snapshot, present the data to ESXi, register the VM, change the network, boot it, test it, and clean it up. On the right here, you can see running Sure Backup does all of that automatically for you. So it is going to be a lot more simple, especially things like registering the VM and changing the network, things like that. Sure Backup will do that for you automatically. If you were to want to restore a VM to a new location, you're going to have to clone it. You're going to have to create a snapshot, create a new identity, resignature the data store, register the VM, change the networking, boot it, and make sure you don't have any kind of a duplicate entries. So once again, Veeam Restore to a new location is very easily. It will do all of the identity and registration for you automatically. Just going into that a little bit more, a few of the risks, if you are doing it manually, you could have things like duplicate VMFS signatures, duplicate VM UUIDs, IP host name conflicts, and application collisions. This is one thing I notice a fair bit when people are doing this. If you are not changing your IP address or being very careful, you can boot something up and have a duplicate IP address, especially if they're both domain joined. Using Sure Backup, you're going to have a completely isolated environment as well. And just quickly, if you were to mount a snapshot in VMware manually, here are the steps that you would do that. You would have to take the snapshot, present it to ESXi. You're going to see an unresolved VMFS detected, resignature it, register it, remove the networking, boot it, change the IP, any other kind of application data, domain data that you have to worry about, and then add networking to a virtual lab. These would be the commands I run when I am trying to do the resignature and mounting. You have -R would be resignature, -M would be mount, and then after that you would go in and manually register the VM from the data store. Here's how easy it is in Veeam. Right-click the host, add storage, select the data store you just mounted. Oh no, sorry, this is the shot from VMware on the last one, my bad. You can actually see once you mount it, you have an option to assign a signature, keep the existing signature, or format the disk. So this is the point where you would actually assign it a new signature. And then going further, renaming the VM, make sure you uncheck the network adapter. If you don't connect it at power on, it gives you the ability to boot the VM up. Then you can change the IP address and all of the settings before you connect your networking adapter. So a few key takeaways: storage snapshots will reduce the risk and performance impact. Veeam with storage snapshots reduces VMware snapshot issues. Veeam does this very easily for you, and it allows your backups to become a reusable platform and just makes things a lot easier for you. If anyone has any questions, or we'll take them at the end.
Okay. If anyone has any questions, yeah, you can go ahead and put them in the chat area, or wait to the end. You guys can hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Somebody was saying they can't hear me. Okay.
Hey, Scott, one quick question though, maybe to put it on. How much storage are you dealing with? Because it is pretty impressive. For who doesn't know Scott, it's a lot of data. So why don't you put some terabytes around it?
We are in the petabyte range. I have many file servers that are 30 to 50 terabytes. I think Rick likes to talk about my largest one, which is probably about 160 terabytes. So yeah, when you're dealing with storage snapshots at that level, even if they aren't growing, the consolidation takes a long time. But my main reason when I initially went to this was the VM stun I was having. We have some very latency sensitive databases, and every time I would back them up, no matter what I did, removing those snapshots, because they're also really busy, it would cause them, the whole application will go offline for the business. So storage snapshots did resolve that issue.
That's pretty impressive. I'm glad I'm not in your shoes.
Okay, give me just a second. You guys can see this okay?
Yep.
All right. Sorry about that little technical glitch. Veeam University and Veeam certification changes. Again, my name's Shane Williford. I have Federica's information on here, the Global Training and Certification Manager for Veeam, because she helped me come up with this content. She spoke to the Veeam 100 community back in November. A lot of the information I'm going to share with you all today. And I collaborated with her a few weeks ago to discuss some changes that were decided upon the end of the year and since then. And so I wanted to give her credit there for some of the information presented here today. So first of all, let's talk about Veeam University. As a lot of you know, and if you didn't, Veeam University was basically a single umbrella that Veeam had to provide mostly free training to its user base. They have since broken them off into 3 separate tiers: Veeam University Free, Partner, and Pro. And Veeam's take on their Veeam University is to help their user base grow, gain recognition, provide higher revenue and salary base for themselves, and to provide better service for their business and their customers, which all leads to success. So let's talk about Veeam University Free real quick. And this is all going to lead into the certifications. So Veeam University Free is just that, free. There's the website there, and I'm going to show you some web pages that kind of show this a bit better here in just a minute. But there, you can go to the website, and there are a few on-demand videos that you can watch to begin your Veeam Data Platform basically training journey, learning journey. They have Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam Recovery Orchestrator, and Backup for Microsoft 365. On that Veeam University free site, if you scroll down the page, which again, I'll show you guys here just a little bit, but there's a resource library page that you can go to, and has a little bit more extensive on-demand videos that you can do training on, and obviously it's free. And there's filtering there to choose different content type of basically different products and components of Veeam, as well as different languages. And then not actually a part of Veeam University, but somewhat, is the Veeam hands-on lab, which I really think that's an underrated perk that Veeam has for its customer base to use. I just think it's really underrated. If you don't have a lab, this is really perfect for you. You can go and log on to one of the labs that Veeam has and learn at your own pace, go through a scenario. Heck, you don't even have to go through a scenario. It's an actual Veeam lab, so you can basically break anything in there and try and troubleshoot it, basically do learning from it. And just end the lab when it's done and do it again if you'd like. So really good resource there if you haven't tried them yet. So Veeam University Pro, this is really where you're going to begin your certification journey, and I'll show you why here in just a bit again. But basically from here you can click links to begin to start learning about Veeam Backup and Replication, Veeam 1, and Recovery Orchestrator, as well as data security. There's links on there that you can basically find entities to do instructor-led training and the e-learning trainings that are needed for these courses. A few things to keep in mind is that the Veeam Backup and Replication course is the only course currently, and I think, I don't even want to speak for Veeam, but just currently is the only course that's instructor-led. The other 3 courses are only available in e-learning. And this is basically just a slide to show you the differences between the editions of Veeam, the Foundation, Advanced, and Premium, where Foundation is just VBR. Advanced is BBR and Veeam 1, and then Premium is VBR, Veeam 1, and Veeam Recovery Orchestrator. And then, of course, on the last, the technologies that are included with each. So let's go over here to these web pages that I have up. And this is the Veeam University free site that I was telling you about, and the 3 on-demand videos that you can watch that are really good, by the way. I did check those out. And then on the bottom, you have this link to the resource library where you can filter in language, how-to videos, and then it'll display here on the left the various content based off your filter. I also just wanted to show you real quick the hands-on lab site. Again, you can select different criteria at the top, which then at the bottom will filter and show labs based off your filtering. Then the Veeam University Pro site. Again, this is where you're going to start your certification journey. And if you click this certification button down there, that link, it'll take you to the certification page that most of us that have taken Veeam certifications are familiar with. One thing you may notice is there's no longer the VMCE tab here. So that is, of course, been deprecated the end of November. But this is where you can go to check your progress on your certification journey. All right, so let's go back to the slides. A couple things to be aware of. One of them, which I had mentioned, that a few of the courses are only in e-learning only, not instructor-led. But the subscriptions for e-learning are different between partners and resellers versus customers. For partners and resellers, the minimum bundle that you can buy is in bundles of 4, whereas for customers, you can buy down to just 1 unit. And then keep in mind, these are in English only, not been given any information from the certification team on when non-native English speaking languages will be available. So just I would keep an eye on the Veeam University Pro site for any updated information, or the FAQ site on the certification page to look out for when other languages will be available. I also wanted to mention real quick before we get into specifically about the certifications, the Veeam Community Hub page for VMC Study Hall. That's still going to be available and around. We will be changing the name from VMCE to VMCE Plus. There's no current content on there, and the certification exam has not yet been created. So once things come to fruition, go to this site on the Community Hub, and there should be some more information start to happen on there, some more posts. All right, so the certifications, as you all are aware, the VMCE and VMCA are no longer available. The VMCE initially expired the end of December. Recently, 2 or 3 weeks ago, Veeam made a decision based on end user feedback to extend the VMCE certification to the end of March. And the last day to book your exam is the 26th. So keep those dates in mind if you are one of the people that want to still get your VMCE exam or certification, to book your exam early enough, and early enough just in case you were to fail, that you could still take it if you are wanting to pass. Again, you have to have your exam booked at least by the 26th. And then the VMCA expired in November. So what are the new certifications? The VMCE is basically migrating to VMCE Plus, and this covers 3 courses, VBR, Veeam1, and VRO. Some good news about the VBR course. Those who are current with VMCE having a certification on version 12, it is not required for you to take the VBR course, but the Veeam1 and VRO courses are going to still be required. So once you have met those requirements, then you can take the exam and hopefully pass, then you would have your VMCE Plus certification. So for the VMC SE, the Security Expert certification, you have to have a current VMCE Plus certification, take the Enterprise Data Security course, and then pass the VMC SE exam. Keep in mind, this is not a replacement for the VMCA. This is a new certification in and of itself. There will be a replacement for the VMCA. It's going to be VMCA-R, I think lowercase r. I'm not sure what the R stands for, but that's still in the discussion phase, and there's really no more information about that. But just keep an eye out for that as well if you're interested in taking that later down the road. This slide basically just shows the flow of the certification journey that Veeam has kind of enacted the past few months. The end of the VMCA in November. The new VBR V13 course came about in November, and then some recent changes. Again, the VMC certification was supposed to expire in December, and it has changed to be the end of March. And then new trainings for Veeam1 and Veeam Recovery Orchestrator and the data security should be completed by sometime this quarter, Q1. And then the new certification or exams, VMCE Plus and VMCSE, will be hopefully ready and available by the end of Q2. For those who weren't aware, if you see here on the right, the VMCE was VMCE-E-Enterprise, I believe that stood for. Changed the end of the year to be VMCE Plus. So just in case you were wondering about that. All right, just a brief discussion on the partner tier here. If you go to, for those who are partners, if you go to your partner portal, there's some trainings there you can partake in, just like before. And then just basically choose a path, complete the trainings in the fundamentals, and then basically earn a Veeam badge for that particular path that you're in. And that is basically all I had. I did want to show you one other site here, though. For the online trainings, you can basically go to this website up here, veeamuniversity-pro.com, and begin your e-learning training there as well. This is, I think it's run by Tsunati, I believe, but there's some FAQs down here as well. But that's all I had for the Veeam certification information and training. Do you all have any questions for me? All right, I will stop sharing. I will turn it on over to Nico, make him a presenter.
Thanks. Scott put something in the chat. How many times have you written the exam?
How many times have I written the exam? Meaning been a part of the development process or taken the exam itself?
Just how many times have you taken them?
I've taken every VMCE exam since version 9 or 9.5. I don't remember. So I think 4. And then I've taken 2 VMCA exams.
So just curious.
Yeah. All right, Nico, all yours, bud.
Awesome. Thank you. So let me share my screen now. Okay, so I'll be talking about Universal CDP and a fix that I found, or that's a fix for something I ran into. So CDP, for those who don't know, is continuous data protection. In a nutshell, you have a workload and you continuously back it up, so you have really high RPOs, and you can back it, restore it to a point in time. And if time allows, we're going to do a live restore on my home lab. I hope the demo gods are merciful today. If not, well, then we just have a failure there, but that's all part of the fun. Okay, so this is a little bit of background. I have a smaller home lab. It's 2 ESXi 8 hosts on GMK techs. I built them about a year ago. They each have 96 gigs of memory. Nowadays, I would have to take a second mortgage out for that. So there will not be expansion of the home lab at all. It's on a 15 terabyte Synology via NFS share, and it works pretty well. Again, most workloads in my home lab are Linux servers. In this scenario, we have a Windows 22 server. I originally wanted to do a physical machine. I just didn't have one available. So when you first start really putting CDP out there, Veeam will tell you, okay, there's a few things you need to do first. You need to deploy CDP proxy, and you need to deploy I/O filters to each host. So this seems pretty straightforward, and it really is, except when I run into an issue. So you deploy the CDM, the CDP proxies, click yes, it goes through which cluster. Again, my E6i hosts are an AMD cluster, so I chose those. And I didn't have the error message, but pretty much it tries to do it, and then it states I cannot do this in the current state. And that kind of unfolded me a little bit, so I did some research. It is not, I mean, at the end it's DNS because it's always DNS, right? Looking at you, Azure, Cloudflare, everyone out there. So for the background, and there's some other posts out there and some KBs that are put together or that I found. So my home lab is not domain joined. So what's happening, the vCenter cannot find the Veeam server by a fully qualified domain name because it doesn't exist. It tries to and it bombs out. So the fix is really easy. You just need to create or modify your Etsy host file on the vCenter. In order to do this, you need to make sure in your vCenter you have SSH login enabled. And again, the home lab, I always have it enabled. In production, you definitely should not have that enabled. And enable your bash shell on your vCenter. After that, you just SSH into it, and it only comes with V on the vCenter, so we modify the etc host file. And I have a screenshot of this, and I have just to add the record. So in this case, my home server or my Veeam server is called Leia, and the IP address 192.168.1.25. You add it in there. And again, I'm a nano user, so my biggest struggle was getting out of V and writing it as always. So you just hit escape, WQ, write and exit. You might have to reboot your vCenter. There's some people said you don't. I had to for it to take effect. So just to make sure, reboot your vCenter, and then you can resume deploying your IO filters. And it went without a problem, went right through it. It was pretty good relief, because first I was like, I have no idea what's going on. But again, DNS, easy fix. I also wrote a blog post about that. That's up on nicostein.com. If you want to read up, it's the screenshots and a bit more details how it was done, what was built, what was used. So if you want to read up, give it a read. So once we have the prerequisites, we have the CDP proxy deployed, and we have the agents deployed on each host. Next is to add a protection group, and that's probably familiar. If you do Sure Backup, you have similar protection groups. In the protection group, we pretty much tell Veeam which workload to back up. So we create a new protection group. We add the computer. Again, I don't run fully qualified domain names, so I just put an IP address. You do need admin credentials for that workload, so you add them there as well. You apply it, and you need to reboot that workload as well. So whatever, it's a server, physical server, it's a workstation, you just need to reboot it afterwards. But it went through it, deployment, no problem, deployed the package, installed it, and I rebooted afterwards. And next is the fun part, to create a protection or backup, a CDP job. So within that CDP job, we choose the protection group, right? I just defined my protection, what am I backing up, and now I'm creating a job that will tell it all the details. There was another thing I ran into. I'm going to mention this. So I created the Windows Server policy. I have that server. In this case, it's called WIN, blah, 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 as the machine. In the policy settings for the replica, it has a suffix. So as I was building this in the home lab and went through different iterations, I already had that suffix created, and Veeam complained about it. I cannot create the replica because the suffix it's already there. So you need to make sure that suffix is unique when you bring the first backup job up. I just deleted the old suffixes that I had on vCenter and changed to underscore CDP, and it went without a problem. Send RPOs for this. I just did 15 minutes. You can tune this down. It will have a higher load on your infrastructure. And of course, if you like Scott, you do like a second, right? Because he's got all the big toys. For my home lab, 15 minutes probably reasonable. I don't run fiber, at least not to the storage. 4 minutes point recovery time, 4 hours. Again, play with it depending on your workloads, right? If it's a database, you really want a minute, 2 minutes, so you don't lose data. For this purpose, that worked just fine for me. And then we deployed the policy, and that was really exciting because the first couple of times there was a lot of red. So once you deploy the policy, one thing I run into when I said there was lots of reds, it started the IO filter agents on the host, and then I'd got error message, the filters are not ready. You must reboot the host after the initial deployment of the IO filters. Seems pretty obvious in hindsight, but again, when I was building this, and that was the first time I did this on this home lab, just something I didn't think about, something to be aware. And if you do this in production, right, you need to plan for your maintenance window to move the workloads off that host to reboot it. But after rebooting, no problem. The agents or the filters start working. And after initial sync, that took a moment, obviously, because we really do the first backup, the first replica, and then we just do the deltas. But it worked, no problem came up. The last screenshot is showing you the syncing. Again, this is a workload that has really few changes. It's just a server that sits there by itself, so the throughput is pretty low. If you have a machine, again, database server or file server, something that has a lot of read writes, your throughput will be a lot higher. What I want to point out, you have your SLA, RPOs are hit at 100%. If you don't hit 100%, either your infrastructure cannot keep up and you need to make adjustments. As an IT node, the only adjustment is then better infrastructure, right? More fiber, faster storage. The CFO probably will tell you just lower your RPOs. But it, again, worked without a problem. And that pretty much concludes. So now that was a presentation. What we should do, let's see if we can do a restore. So let me jump on. That is my Veeam server that was all built on. That's my home lab right now. So you have here the statistics I showed you, and it's still syncing. So let's do a restore. We're going to do a failover now. We assume our server bumped out. It was one of the many faulty Microsoft updates lately. The server is stuck in a boot loop, whatever, right? You name it, it probably happened. I can do just a full restore right now, but what's really cool, and it's the same not just for full service, it's for files, databases, other objects. I can roll back to restore point in time, right? According to my RPOs are defined first. So let's say, okay, hypothetically, Windows Update applied at 9:50. So I allow the server was working at 9:45. That's the last time it worked. Again, I have 5-minute RPOs here. So I'm going to go 5 minutes before the system went belly up.
Hey, Nico,
Yep.
question for you real quick, bud. What's the least amount? Can you go down into seconds as well? You may not have yours configured that
No,
way.
I could do minutes. So 1 minute
minutes.
increment would be the lowest.
Gotcha. Thank you, sir.
Sure. So we're gonna go, okay, next. Hope it works. And of course, misspelled, because why not? So we starting 58 minutes ago. That's correct. While this is doing its thing, let's pull over. Let's see, where's my... We're gonna jump on the vCenter here. Again, that's also the home lab. So here's the replica, CDP. Let's see if it's waiting for replication to stop. Okay. And we see the times here. Again, this is a home lab. That's, while it's not the slowest computer, this is not a full-on server. That's a NUC, really. See if this is coming up. Not yet. On Felmy home lab.
It's not doing too bad. Can't be any worse than me conking out before my little session. So had a permissions issue I needed to take care of, so I had to close out. That's kind of what happened. Does vSphere show anything happening on the bottom?
Let's see.
No recents. Yeah.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Good. So it's working.
Yep. It's not there. It should power it on.
Did you say you can restore individual files with CDP as well?
Yeah, you can do, if you have a file server, you can do individual files. It's pretty much like your storage snapshots, right? All objects. Now, I don't run AD there, but I would imagine, I haven't tested it, that you could also restore Entra objects.
Do you use this at your work as well?
I do, but I don't want to do this on a production here at work.
No, I understand that. I'm
Yeah.
just, do you have like many VMs using CDP at work?
We have about 5, 6, but there's also a change from the hypervisor change coming, so it won't be VMware. And
Looks like it completed there.
yep,
And we
so
got a question,
Yep.
Nico, as well. My assumption is this is replication. So
Yep.
what happens to the source machine when you perform basically a
question.
failover, right?
It is so yes. So we see this is up now, and the original server is here as well.
And
But let me see. That is still going. Does it have an IP? I don't have.
so it doesn't power down the
It
source
doesn't
machine.
power it down. No.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, this is live and in color. Yep. So you would have to do. I think once, if I recall correctly, once you fail to production, it might power down the original one. But I'm not 100% certain on this. So definitely, if you do this, not in your home lab or in your test bed, make sure you don't have the 2 machines live. Just what Scott said, right? You have the same IPs on the same network. That's
Right.
gonna be not fun. But yeah, so the whole thing would took about 4 minutes.
Not bad.
Not bad.
Very
And
well.
let me just check one more time if the original one did not.
Does anyone have any other questions for Nico? Again, when you do these recover tasks with CDP or any anything in Veeam, like you know, backups and do an entire VM restore or whatever, certainly reference the user guide, because there's so many things that you can do to make sure what Veeam actually does to the source if it's still available. I know some things are something like if a VM is still available on the source and you're doing an entire VM restore or instant VM recovery or something like that, and you restore to the original location, it deletes that source VM. So, so just be aware of things like that. Reference the guide for to find out what exactly does happen, or like Nico's doing, test it out in a lab to
Exactly.
see what it does.
Because it's all good questions, right? Does it power
Yeah.
down? Does it not power down? But you don't want to
Right.
have to figure this out in case you have a prod system down, and it's like you need to get this up as quickly as possible.
Right.
Right.
Any other questions for Scott regarding storage integration, or if there's any questions regarding Veeam University or any of the trainings that I didn't share in any of the presentation or Scott shared in his presentation? Awesome. Well, that's really all we had for today. We appreciate everybody joining us, talking about storage integration, universal CDP, and learning about the updates to the certifications from Veeam and their trainings. Appreciate everybody coming out. I hope you have a good rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
I was just going to add quickly that if you have any questions on this stuff, you can go to the Veeam Community Hub too, and all 3 of us are active on there and can answer some questions.
And this
Great
has been
reminder.
recorded as well and will be made available in the Veeam YouTube channel.
Thanks.
Okay. Thank you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.